तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Good evening and namaskars. We are studying Drig Drishya Viveka as our introduction to Vedanta, and we were on verse number 17. Let us chant from a little before that, from 15 onwards. Verse number 15. Antar Drig Drishyayor Bhedam. Antar Drig Drishyayor Bhedam. Bahishcha Brahma Sargayo. Avrinotya Parashakti. Sa samsarasya karanam. Sakshinah purato bhati. Lingam dehena sanyutam. Chitichhaya samaveshat. Jivasyad vyavaharika. Asya jivatvamaropat. Sakshinyapyavabhasate. Avrito tu vinashtayam. Bhede bhati apayati tat. Advaita Vedanta holds everything is Brahman. If everything is Brahman, then you are Brahman, I am Brahman, and everything that we experience is Brahman. And yet, we see nothing as Brahman. We do not see ourselves as Brahman. We do not see this world as Brahman. Brahman itself is just a concept which we hear about or read about. What happened? Where is Brahman hiding? A Swami I met in the Himalayas in Haridwar, Kankhal, a decade ago. He's a great teacher of Advaita who has passed on since. So he told this nice story about creation, this universe. You know, the Hindus believe in cycles of creation. There is creation of the universe, and then the universe exists and evolves and changes for billions and billions of years until the universe is destroyed, dissolved, goes back to an original state. And then again there is creation, and it goes on and on and on and on. There are worlds, universes without end. Now he told this very nice story about creation and hide and seek, a game of hide and seek. He says, right now we are looking for God. God is hiding. And we go around looking for God. God is playing a game of hide and seek with us. He's hiding. When the universe comes to an end, the term they use is pralaya. When the universe comes to an end, worlds will disappear, all life will disappear, galaxies, stars, planets, all will be destroyed and absorbed back into the primordial Maya. And we too, the individual jivas, we will be absorbed into Maya unless those who get enlightenment accept those. The rest will still remain in a potential state in Maya. So we are not there anymore, not separately at least. What exists? God alone exists with his power, Maya. So at that time, God is searching for us. Where did those fellows go? They are hiding. We are hiding. We are hidden. We are hidden. And God is searching for us. Where did those fellows go? And then he creates this universe again and projects us into this universe. And we play our games for life after life. And he hides himself. And we search for God. Where did God go? So this eternal game of hide and seek is going on. So he put it so beautifully. what has happened is this. The power of Maya veils Brahman. What we learned there was, on the 15th verse, inside us, within us, we are Brahman, but we do not see ourselves as Brahman. Because the difference between the body-mind complex and the pure consciousness illumining the body-mind complex, drashta and drishya, this difference is obscured by Maya internally. So Brahman is there, but we do not perceive. We see ourselves as body-mind. Exactly like if there is a movie, we see the movie and the screen is right there. But because the movie screen is completely covered by pictures, we fail to distinguish the screen from the pictures themselves. In the same way, our mind and consciousness are mixed up together for us, and we are unable to separate them. He says, Antar Drig Drishya Viveka. Internally, the difference between the witness and the witnessed, the seer and the seen. What is the seer or the witness? Pure consciousness. What is the seen? The mind. First and foremost, the mind. The ego, the mind. So these two become mixed up. And we cannot clearly differentiate between the two. So we do not realize the Atman, the Brahman within, the witness within. We think we are the mind. We are the mind, an embodied mind. That's what we feel ourselves to be. And outside what happens? Outside Brahman and the world. We read how by the power of Maya, a net of names and forms is drawn over Brahman. If you remember, a few verses back we read Maya has two powers, the veiling power and the projecting power. What is the projecting power? The projecting power of Maya is it casts a network of names and forms over Brahman. So Brahman, existence, consciousness, bliss, but what we experience is the world. So outside, Bahishcha Brahma Sargayo, Sarga is a term meaning creation. The difference between Brahman and creation is obscured. We perceive the creation. Brahman is right there. Where? Everywhere. And here too. In every object, in every person, in every event, everything that happens in the world is actually Brahman. Just as every bench here and this table, all of it is actually wood. But if someone does not know what wood is, they will say that, oh, there are 20 benches here and a table. So in that way, the difference between the world, the universe, and Brahman gets obscured. You see, the projecting power of Maya is responsible for creating this universe, and this universe consists of two kinds of matter, according to Vedanta: subtle matter, sukshma; gross matter, sthula. The subtle matter goes to form our minds, our life. I'm speaking in general terms. In Vedantic terms, the pranamaya kosha, the manomaya kosha, the vijnanamaya kosha, these are all made of subtle matter. Our internal experience. Remember, this is not metaphysical speculation. Why not, Swami? You're using so many fancy terms. Let me tell you what it refers to. It refers to the very mind you perceive inside. Right now, we all of us experience thoughts, feelings, emotions. That is what is the subtle body. So, it's just a name for what we are experiencing all the time. That is also a projection of Maya, subtle matter. And gross matter. What is gross matter? What we experience around all of us. The objective world. What we see, what we hear, what we touch and smell and taste. That's gross matter. Now, Brahman is existence, consciousness, bliss. Here is a point to understand. Everything, all these names and forms, all these forms of matter, subtle or gross, all of them borrow existence from Brahman. That is why this world seems to exist. All these names and forms, they don't float empty. They seem to have a solid, substantial existence. Existence is borrowed from Brahman. What borrows existence from Brahman? All the matter, subtle matter and gross matter, all names and forms. And Another thing to understand is the subtle matter, our minds, they borrow not only existence from Brahman, they also borrow consciousness from Brahman. The consciousness aspect of Brahman, Chit, is reflected in our minds as Chidabhasa. We have gone through this, I'm just repeating it. Consciousness aspect of Brahman is reflected in our minds as Chidabhasa. Again, no speculation. Right now, are we not aware? Are we not sentient? I hope you are aware. Vedanta has a soporific effect. So, I hope you're aware. So, we are aware. That sentience which we feel right now is a reflection, is borrowed by our minds from Brahman. Just as a pot of water, the water, in that water, the sun will be reflected as a little sun in the water. In the same way, Chidabhasa, literally meaning the shadow or appearance or reflection of consciousness. Subtle matter has that capacity to reflect consciousness. Consciousness being reflected in this subtle matter of our minds, awareness comes. That consciousness, that witness in the mind becomes a knower. I'm using the terms I'm translating from Sanskrit. Sakshi, witness. Pramata, knower. So the witness now becomes a knower. Who is this knower? You, right now. You or I may not be aware, may not be able to appreciate what the witness is right now. But what we are right now is what is being called the knower. And this knower, identified with the mind and body, thinks of itself as this person or that person, and interacts with the world, with the objective world. Both of these, the objective world of gross matter and the subjective world inside us of subtle matter, both of these are nothing but Brahman. They are nothing but Brahman. Brahman inside, Brahman outside. Now, Brahman inside, we have been learning how to find out. The very first verse which we did when we started this, if you remember, Rupam, Drishyam, Lochanam, Drig, the seer and the seen, making a difference between the seer and the seen, trying to understand what Brahman inside is. What is outside is the seen. The one which sees is the seer. The eyes themselves are the seen. The mind is the seer. Thoughts, feelings, and emotions in the mind are the seen. And the consciousness, the witness, is the seer. We learn to appreciate the witness within. That is what we are, not the mind. Not even the consciousness reflected in the mind. That's what we have been trying to do all along. Now, today's subject is even more exciting. We'll learn to see God in the world. Where is Brahman in the world? Let's see. Brahman is hidden in the world, they are saying. We will discover it. We're going to do some spiritual archaeology. We're going to find that big guy in the world today now. He's hidden, but not very well hidden. We can find him, or it, right now. So that's what we are going to do. How to see Brahman in this world. Where? Everywhere. In any object, in any person, in any event, anything in this world. Brahman must be there. If Brahman is all-pervasive, Brahman must be there. Let's see how we can discover Brahman. Now we come to 18th verse. Tatha sarga brahmanoscha bhedam avritya tishtati ya shakti tadvashat brahma vikritattvena bhasate. Similarly, Brahman, under the influence of the veiling power of Maya, the distinction between Brahman and this phenomenal universe is obscured, it's concealed. And Brahman appears as this changing universe. Brahman itself appears as this changing universe. Why? Because of the veiling power of Maya. Here in this world, all names and forms are changing. Look at this body which we have. They speak of 6 types of change. Jayate, asti, vardhate, Viparinamate, apakshiyate, nashyati. It is born. Being born, it comes into existence, the body. Then it develops. Baby, child, teenager, develops, grows, changes. And then reaches middle age, viparinamate. Keeps on changing, reaches a peak. And then apakshiyate, begins to deteriorate. Old age. So we struggle to keep the body fit and healthy and looking good, and that's good. But the forces of change are inevitable. It's inevitable. Slowly it will deteriorate. So viparinamate, apakshiyate, it deteriorates. And then nashyati, death. Sixfold change for the body. For any kind of name and form, it undergoes change. And the consciousness, the Brahman, which this name and form covers, will not change, does not change. It is that Brahman, unchanging Brahman, which appears as a changing body, as this changing world. The sixfold changes apply to the name and form. They apply to name and form, produced by Maya, by the projecting power of Maya. But Brahman, which is right there, does not undergo any change. It appears to undergo a change when it appears as this changing world. So look at this verse. Similarly. Similar to what? Similar to the obscuration within, where we are Brahman, but we are not aware of it. Brahman and the mind are mixed up. The Atman and the mind, the witness and the knower. The witness appears as the knower within. We are unable to distinguish. Similarly, in the world, in the universe outside, Sarga Brahmana, Sarga, creation, name and form, this entire universe, this objective universe. And Brahman, which it really is, even now, right now, the difference, Bhedam, the difference between the two. It is clear for the enlightened person. They know exactly how this is Brahman. They know exactly how this world, everything in this world is Brahman. It's as clear as day for them. One very enlightened teacher was asked, so how do you see Brahman in the world? How do you see Brahman in the world? Some kind of a vague light or something like that. Or some kind of concept, an awareness, a kind of knowledge. And he says, no. Do you know sometimes you see in the daytime you can see the moon in the distance, and on this other side you can see the sun blazing forth? He says, for me, Brahman is like the sun, and this world of names and forms is like the moon. In every experience, there is a name and form, but it is so clearly Brahman, everything. So to that extent, of course, they don't actually see it objectively through these eyes. It is that awareness, that knowledge which shines forth. Now, Bhedam, the difference between the two is obscured. It's obscured by Ya Shakti, the power of Maya. Which power? The two powers are there, the veiling power and the projecting power. This is the veiling power. It obscures. Tadvashat Brahma Vikritattvena bhasate. Because of that, Brahman appears as if changing. Brahman appears as the changing universe. The unchanging absolute appears as the changing universe. Swami Vivekananda puts it so beautifully and graphically. He says, this universe is the wreckage of the absolute on the shores of space, time and causation. The wreckage of the infinite on the shores of the finite, space, time and causation. And that infinite alone appears. It's not that it's really wrecked. Don't think that God has been shipwrecked. They're absolutely untouched, as we shall discover. Let's go to 19th verse. Atrapyavriti vibhati brahma sargayo vedastayor vikarasyat sargena brahmani kvachit. Here too, when the obscuration, the covering, the veiling is destroyed, then the difference between Brahman and this universe becomes crystal clear, absolutely clear, shines forth clearly. And then you see vikara syat sarge. All change, all limitation, all creation and destruction are in name and form, in the objective world, in the world of forms. Natu brahmani kvachit, never ever in Brahman. It is strange. Right here is the absolute, and right here is this changing universe. The universe is created, stars are born, from stardust planets are created, life evolves, and the drama of life, we have got human beings and our societies and our history, tremendous activities going on here, ceaseless change. And yet, right here, absolutely, there's no change in Brahman. Brahman is right here. This is the paradox. How do you reconcile the two? Logically, you cannot. What Advaita Vedanta does is, it puts them into two categories. The changing world is put in the category of the relative, of the vyavaharika, of the mithya. The unchanging Brahman is put in the category of the absolute, the noumenon, the reality, satyam. What did I just say? It's like this. Can the desert be full of water and yet be dry? Can something be full of water and yet be dry? Well, not at the same time. If I say at the same time, well, at the same time, it is possible in only one case. If one of the two is false, suppose the water, there is an appearance, it's a mirage, and the desert is real, then the two can coexist. And false water, a false oasis can coexist with a real desert. A false snake can coexist with a real rope. A false blue color can coexist with a colorless sky. That means water appears. It appears to be water. In reality, it is the dry desert. It's a mirage. And the two can go very well together. A false water will not wet even a grain of the desert sand. They can go together. It can be dry desert, absolutely, and it can be false water. It can look like a venomous snake, it can be a harmless rope. But real water and a real dry desert cannot go together. It must be one of the two. In the same way, what Advaita Vedanta has done is that this changing phenomenal universe, Advaita gives it a lower grade of reality. And the unchanging absolute, Advaita gives it an absolute grade of reality. It is called Paramarthika Satyam. Absolutely real. Brahman. Existence, consciousness, bliss. And this changing universe, which we experience, is given a lower grade of reality called Vyavaharika Satyam, relative truth. It appears. You cannot deny that it appears. We experience it. And yet, it has a lower grade of reality. Why not the other way around? Seeing that we experience the universe, and we don't seem to be experiencing any Brahman right now. Why not this universe is real? Because the reality of the universe is borrowed from Brahman. The reality of this universe is borrowed from Brahman, just as the reality of the table is borrowed from wood. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by that? The table will not exist if the wood is not there. The weight of the table is the weight of the wood. There is no other substance in this table other than the wood. In the same way, this world would not exist without Brahman. The wood can very well exist as wood pilings or wood shavings, not be a table at all. In fact, it was not a table to begin with. And one day in the future, it will not be a table. But it will still be wood. So the wood, in fact, is more real than the table in the sense that it is the material out of which the table is constructed. It is the material cause. The material cause is the reality, and the effect is the table. Wood is the reality and the effect is the table. In somewhat similar fashion, existence, consciousness, bliss is taken as the reality. And the name and form subsists upon. In philosophical language, it's called supervenience. It supervenes upon upon Brahman. The phenomenal universe supervenes upon the noumenon Brahman. Now, here too, Atrapi avriti nashena. If we are able to overcome the veiling, that which veils the difference between the universe and Brahman, what will happen? The difference will become clear. The difference between the universe and Brahman. The universe and Brahman. Just like the table is right here and the wood is also right here. In fact, when we touch the table, we say touch wood. We don't say touch table, we say touch wood. In the same way, what appears to be Jiva and Jagat is in reality Brahman. And we just have to see what is Brahman and what is the world. In every experience of the world, what we are experiencing now, if it is Brahman plus world, then we must be able to isolate Brahman and the world. In our understanding at least, if not physically, but in our understanding. We must be able to separate. The technical word used in Vedanta is Viveka. Viveka. Technically in Sanskrit, Viveka, Vivich Pritak Karane. To separate two things. Two things which are mixed up, to separate them. In Sri Ramakrishna's beautiful terminology, simple example he gives, sand and sugar are mixed up. The ant can separate them. Milk and water are mixed up. The swan, Rajahamsa, it is supposed to be able to drink only the milk and let go of the water. And otherwise, as I say, the golmal, I cannot translate into English. In Bengali, golmale mal ache. Golta bad diye malti lao. In English, it would roughly be something like, in chaos, there is a reality and there is something false, something wrong. So that you can leave the chaotic part out and take the substance, something like that. Very difficult to translate into English. Now remember, be careful about the example. Sand and sugar are two different things. They're just mixed up and very difficult to separate. But here, Brahman and the world are not two different things. The only thing you should take from the example is the process of separation. Don't think that there are little particles of sand and so particles of the world and there's little particles of sugar and little particles of Brahman. Not like that. It's more like the table and the wood. Okay. Now, how do we do it? How do we do it? All this was setting the stage for the actual excavation. Let's now dig deep. Attend to me carefully. Here comes a very beautiful verse of the Drig Drishya Viveka, one of the most beautiful verses, and oft quoted. It's often quoted, this verse. It's a famous verse, which will come now. The famous 5 factors of experience. We will read that now. Verse number 20. Asti bhati priyam rupam Nama chetyangsha panchakam Adyatrayam brahma rupam Jagadrupam tatodvayam. Absolutely fascinating. How bold and clear they are. Exactly, they're telling you exactly what is God and what is the world. Where? In your experience. Which experience? Any experience. Any experience of the world at all. Look what he says. Every experience, the translation is every entity, actually every experience. Every experience that we have has 5 characteristics. Is characterized by 5 aspects. What are they? 1, existence. Number 2, appearance or cognizability or appearance or shining. The second one. Number 3, happiness. Literally it means priya, likable. So pleasure or happiness. Form and name. Nama, name. Rupa, form. 5 factors. The first 3 are Brahman. The last 2 are the world. What does it mean? Whenever we experience anything, now all that background will come in useful. Whatever object we experience in the world is a gross object. As I said, gross matter is a gross object, what we experience, what we see. Not necessarily only see. What we see, what we hear, what we touch, what we smell, taste, anything in this world is a gross object. And this gross object as I said earlier, has borrowed existence from Brahman, and therefore it appears to exist. Just as the existence of this table is actually the existence of the wood. What do I mean by that? If the wood did not exist, the table wouldn't exist. Not the other way around. If the table did not exist, the wood would still exist. It would be something else. In the same way, the existence of everything in this world. We experience every object. First thing we experience is, it is. When I experience the table, table is. That's how I experience it. When I experience the chair, chair is. When I experience the person is. Table exists, chair exists, person exists. That's how I experience. So that's the first thing I experience about anything. Every experience is characterized by existence. Second, every experience, in order to be an experience, must be in consciousness. Without consciousness, you cannot speak about anything. How can you have experience without consciousness? Awareness. Without being aware, without being... Consciousness must be there. Awareness must be there. Sentience must be there for experience to take place. So every experience also not only exists, the objects shine. I like that word, shine. Look at the word. Not only the bulb chandelier shines, it obviously shines. But even like a humble thing, like a chair or a pair of slippers or shoes, it shines in the sense that you become aware of it. It shines in the light of your consciousness. So, bhati, it expresses, manifests, shines, it is known. Consciousness is there. Third, joy, pleasure, happiness. I know what question is going to come up, but wait. Let me just go ahead and finish. So there are things in this world which give us happiness, which we like. We like thing. Priyam means that which is like, which is dear to us. And thing is dear to us only if it makes us happy. Only if it gives us some pleasure or happiness. So that pleasure or happiness, that is also there in our experiences. And every experience has a unique name and a unique form. By form, I do not mean something that's only seen. It may be seen, but heard also. It may be touched. It's a feeling, a touch, sensation of touch, or a smell, or a taste. So these gross world, these experiences we have of the world, they are characterized by a form. By form, I mean something you may see, or hear, or smell, or touch, or taste. Or it might be more abstract. It might be abstract. A concept, an idea. That also has a form, because that's how you distinguish one idea from another, one concept from another. So, it has a form. And it has a label we put on it. The way we think about it, that's called a name, the language which we use for it. So, name and form. Now, what he's saying is, having understood, you can analyze any of your experiences into these 5 factors. In all these experiences, you can find 5 factors. In these 5 factors, he says, the first 3 are Brahman. The last 2 are the world. The first 3 are Brahman, are actually borrowed from Brahman, to make it more precise. The last 2 are name and form, are the projections of the projecting power of Maya. The projecting power of Maya, the Avriti and the Vikshepa. The projecting power of Maya, Vikshepa Shakti projects name and form. So the last 2, name and form. Here is a person. The name of the person, Sam or Joe or Ram, whatever the name is, and the form of the person, that is the projecting power of Maya. The very existence of that person, the very fact that it is shining forth in experience, and the very fact that the person is dear to me, that happiness, the joy you get from it, is from Brahman. The existence of that person is borrowed from Sat, pure existence. The cognizability, the appearance, the shining for that experience we are getting, that is borrowed from Chit. And the joy or the dearness and that you like that person or the joy it gives you is borrowed from Ananda. Now you're getting impatient for the answer to your question. I hope the question is in your mind. I'm sure it is. The question will be, oh, but wait. We do not find pleasure or joy everywhere. There are things and people and objects in the world which scare us, which we make us unhappy. So it's not that everything in the world is joyous or full of joy for us. Well, it's actually like this. One way of explaining this would be, there are two tracks in which this verse has been explained. One way, let me give you a very traditional way of explaining it, would be, remember the distinction between gross matter and subtle matter, sthula and sukshma. The gross matter has the capacity of borrowing existence from Brahman. The gross matter has capacity of borrowing existence from Brahman. Therefore, this entire gross universe exists, seems to exist. Just as the name and form of the table have the capacity of borrowing existence from wood. In the same way, this universe has the capacity of borrowing existence from Brahman. What will borrow existence from Brahman? Any name and form. But there are special names and forms called subtle matter, sukshma, our minds, subtle matter, which borrow not only existence from Brahman, they can borrow consciousness from Brahman. So, consciousness is reflected in our minds as chidabhasa, the reflection of consciousness. No speculation. That's the awareness which we are feeling now. Each of us feels awareness in the mind. In his or her own mind, you feel awareness, sentience. That is the consciousness, chaitanyam, chit aspect of Brahman shining in our minds. Why not everywhere? Well, it's a bit like, I like to give the example of sunlight. Sunlight is reflected from all the surfaces, when we go out into the sunlight, you will see the houses and the garden and the rocks and the lakes. Everything is glass, everything is reflecting sunlight. Everything reflects sunlight. One. But only a few of them form an image of the sun. A rock or the wall will not form an image of the sun, but the glass will. The lake will. The pool of water or the bucket of water will form. So there are certain substances, it's an example I'm giving. There are certain substances which will not only reflect the light, but they will also form a little image of the sun. In the same way, there is subtle matter, sukshma, which will not only borrow existence from Brahman, but also borrow consciousness from Brahman. And that is our minds. So, asti, existence, where do you find it? Everywhere. Bhati, shining forth, awareness, where do you find it? Only in subtle bodies, in minds. Whose minds? Our minds. In fact, here is the distinction that Vedanta makes between living beings, jiva, and non-living jagat. Between the chit, between the sentient and the insentient. Remember how in biology class we had to make a distinction between living beings and non-living beings? What is the distinction between us, people, and the chairs we are sitting on, according to Vedanta? According to Vedanta, the difference is this. We are living beings, we are jiva, individuals, sentient beings. And these are insentient, this insentient matter. What is the difference? The difference is, it is only a gross body. It's only a gross body. We have a gross body and a subtle body. The living being, this jiva, has a gross body plus a subtle body. So we have a living gross body and a subtle body inside, full of life and thought and emotion and memory and feeling, the sense of ego. All of this is part of our subtle body. So the subtle body is what distinguishes living beings from non-living beings in the book of Vedanta. Life also belongs to the subtle body in Vedanta. Pranamaya kosha belongs to the sukshma sharira. So this is the distinction. So bhati, shining forth, awareness, sentient, that is possible only in the mind, in each of our minds. That's why we find the manifestation of consciousness in the mind, not anywhere else. You say, no, I find the manifestation of consciousness in my mind and everybody else's mind. You do not actually. Think about it. What do you experience? You experience, first of all, in sentience, awareness in your mind. And with that sentient, aware mind, you use your sensory apparatus to look at the world, and you see certain beings, human beings, plants and animals around, which appear to be like you, sentient beings, but you do not directly experience their sentience. Let me repeat that. None of us experiences sentience anywhere, awareness anywhere, except in his or her own mind. So what about the person sitting next to me? Are you saying that person is not sentient? Are you saying that person has no consciousness? The person is a zombie? Are you saying that? No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that you are not aware of that person's awareness directly, the way you are aware of your own awareness. Never ever. The only place where we are aware of consciousness, where we get consciousness, is in our own minds. Third, bhati. Then third one, the question, happiness, pleasure, joy. It's only in a particular state of our mind that we experience joy. The same logic is being extended. All names and forms, everything in this universe borrows existence from Brahman. Only minds can borrow awareness, consciousness from Brahman. Only minds in a certain state can borrow joy or bliss from Brahman. That's why the only place where we experience happiness is in a certain state of mind. And Vedanta calls it a sattvic state of mind. Sattva guna is necessary for experiencing sukha, material happiness. Any kind of happiness, it requires the mind to be in a certain state of mind. In certain state. Sukha. Sukhakara vritti is necessary in the mind to experience happiness. So, now what have I said? This is one explanation. Why we do not experience joy in all beings. If in every experience there is joy, why don't we experience it? The answer is this. Though existence, consciousness, bliss is everywhere, existence alone is manifest in everything. Existence and consciousness manifest only in our minds. Existence, consciousness, bliss manifest only in our sattvic minds, mind in a particular state, which we call happiness. That's one explanation. So, asti bhati priyam, existence, the shiningness and the joy, they are there, but they are not there then in all experiences. In only those experiences which are in the mind, which are joyous, we have all three. But otherwise, every experience will definitely have existence. So, existence aspect is borrowed from sat, consciousness aspect from chit, and the priyam, likableness, the pleasure is borrowed from ananda. Satchidananda is reflected in our experience as asti bhati priyam. Asti, the being of all things. Bhati, the shining forth of all things. Priyam, the pleasure, the joy we get in life. And nama rupa. This is the distinction between Brahman and the world. Now, here I would like to make a point. It is not that there are two things, one Brahman and one world. It's not that there is one absolute and one phenomenal world. It is only one thing. It is one thing. Brahman alone is appearing forth in all these ways. This distinction we have to make in our mind to recognize that unchanging Brahman in and through all our experiences. Then what happens? The enlightened person then, the person who understands this, focuses on the asti bhati priyam, focuses on the existence, consciousness, bliss in every experience. The name and form become secondary to that person. That's why you will see in the lives of all great enlightened persons, all saints, anybody who's spiritually advanced, they seem to look upon everything with an equal vision. They are not chasing pleasure, they are not afraid of pain. They do not favor their friends, they do not hate their enemies. They find the same, they will say, the devotee will say, the same Lord in all beings, the same asti bhati priyam in all experience. And what they are claiming here is, it's always available. And in every experience. What is happening is, we are looking only at the name and form. We are not noticing the existence, consciousness, bliss. We are not noticing the asti bhati priyam. What they are inviting us to do is, in every experience of the world, notice, become aware, take the attention away from the name and form towards the existence. This exists and this exists and this exists. Instead of thinking of it as a microphone, as a table, and as a scarf, think of it as existence with the name and form of a table, as existence with the name and form of a microphone, as existence itself with the name and form of a scarf. That's what Vedanta is asking us to do. It is not that we think of a wave with water. There's water in the wave. Vedanta is asking us to say that look at the water itself. Water is appearing with the name and form of the wave. Imagine all of this as an ocean of existence. Everything around. It is, in fact. You just have to, it's a new way, a strange way of looking at things. We are surrounded by an ocean of existence here. And in this ocean of existence, just like the Pacific Ocean, which is an ocean of water, there are waves, big waves and small waves and surf and bubbles. In the same way, in this ocean of existence, there are chairs and tables and people. Some are moving around, some are not moving around. There is this entire, there are planets and atoms. All of them are names and forms. The reality is existence. What are you? You're also existence. That existence does not change. What changes are the names and forms. It was existence alone, which appears as the wood, as a tree, as a table, as a broken table. It's the same existence. So this is what they are asking us to do. Now, how do we do it? This is the concept, the theory behind it. What you have to do is first listen to this carefully, read it repeatedly so that you understand what they are trying to say, then clear out all doubts through reasoning. Shravana, Manana. Now, after understanding this, once we begin to get a glimpse of what they are talking about, remember, it's nothing very vague or abstract. You see, this is the most clear thing that we have all the time. But amazingly enough, Swami Vivekananda used to call it the open secret. Very beautifully said. The open secret. It's right there. God is hidden, but hidden right in plain sight. Right in plain sight. It's hidden right here. Within us and outside us. Hidden right here. But we don't notice. We don't look. Look. Swami Vivekananda put it very forcefully. Do not seek him, just see him. It's like saying, it's like saying the reality of the wave is water. Look deep into the wave, you will find water. What deep into the wave? Deep in the wave, in the middle of the wave, on the top of the wave, up above it, below it, it's all water. Sometimes mystical language, abstract analysis, obscures the fact that you're talking about the most vivid thing in our lives. After all, what do we experience anywhere throughout our lives, anything other than existence itself, in various forms and names? There's this story, but it's hidden. It's hidden in this way. The veiling power of Maya, Avriti. There's this story of a businessman traveling in a train in India, long distance train, from the north to the south maybe he was traveling, and he gets up and sits in the train, and the person sitting opposite to him was actually a thief, looking for an opportunity to steal money. And the thief sees the businessman bring out a wad of cash and count it. The thief looks like that. And the businessman stuffs it back and goes to sleep. The thief makes all plans that when the businessman is fully asleep at night, I'll sneak in and take the money out. And when the businessman is asleep, and the thief quietly sneaks up and starts searching carefully, always becoming startled when the businessman, sort of changes sides and rolls over, whatever. And he searches and searches and searches and he couldn't find anything. And when it's becoming daytime, he gets nervous and he goes back to his bunk, but he cannot sleep. And as day breaks, the businessman gets up from his bunk and stretches and yawns. And as the thief is watching, he takes out a wad of cash and counts it and puts it back. The thief is stunned. What happened? Anyhow, the second day of the journey, that's the last night, again the thief tries it, and he cannot find anything. Now he's thoroughly puzzled. Next day in the morning, he is terribly tired. He dozes off, suddenly startled, awakes, and sees the businessman is getting ready to leave. He's counting the cash. And the thief couldn't restrain himself any longer, and he asked the businessman, "Sir, will you please tell me where did you hide the cash?" And the businessman said, "Why? Under your pillow." Under your pillow, the last place you'll ever think of looking. You're trying to get cash which you already had. It was in your pillow itself. That's where God has hidden himself. Right in front of our eyes. Right here. Now, how do we discern this? This is what we learned today. But how do you make it a living reality? It's difficult to wrap our minds around this thing. But once you do, how do you make it a living reality? How do you get benefit from it? How does it help you to overcome suffering and sorrow in life? So for that purpose, there's something called nididhyasana, the process of assimilation. The truth which we have heard, which we have understood. The second part is vital. We must understand first. Having understood that, make it a living reality. There are techniques. There are 6 techniques which we shall learn in the class. I think we have it next week, with the class next week. So we shall start those techniques. How do you assimilate this truth? How do you practice it moment to moment? Those techniques will come. And as I say, people, when they hear about this, they say, oh, that's the real thing. Let's jump ahead to that. No, you cannot jump ahead. It's like if the physics professor teaching you physics, quantum mechanics in UCLA. And it says the main thing is think deeply about it and you will get it. And if the student says, okay, so thinking deeply about is the main thing. So I'll bunk all the classes. I will not read any books. I'll sit quietly and think deeply about it. You'll never get it that way. You have to attend the classes. You have to read the books. You have to put in a lot of thinking and then sit quietly and dwell on it. It will come to you. And it will come. That part is not so difficult. And so the techniques we will take up next week. Let's take up questions before we end. All right, there are 2 questions.
How would you answer this from the Vedanta point of view? If there's a tree in the forest and there's no sentient being there, will it make a sound?
If the tree, it's an old question in philosophy. Yeah. So if a tree falls in a forest and there's nobody to hear it, does it make a sound? Yeah, well, let's just put it very simply. Actually, it's a question that is used for distinguishing between realism and idealism. But from Vedanta point of view, you can take a very realistic answer also. If you take, let me give you a technical answer. If you take the basic approach of Srishti Drishtivada, the Lord creates this universe with the power of Maya. So, the tree falls, and just like obeying the laws of physics, waves are generated. Now, they are not called sound until somebody hears them. Obviously, waves are generated when any physical object falls. So, it becomes a sound only when a sentient being hears it as sound. But the physical part of it is still there. So, it's a very realistic explanation, and Vedanta has no objection to it. Vedanta is often confused with idealism. The world is not there in the mind of the observer, as an idealist would say. The world appears in Brahman. Both the observer and the observed appear in Brahman. What you call the mind of the observer is subtle matter. What you call the observed universe is gross matter. The same Brahman appears as the observer and the observed. Swami Vivekananda puts it beautifully. He says, one alone exists. It appears as nature, soul. So in that one, this universe is appearing. The question. We'll come to you first.
Swami, just trying to reflect on the lesson itself. So you mentioned you started with experience and you broke it down into those 5 elements.
5 elements, yes.
And that was introduced by finding Brahman.
Brahman. In order to find Brahman in your experience, yes.
In order to find Brahman in my
Experience
experience.
of the world. Yeah. The idea was, the question is that the 5 elements were introduced to find Brahman. So how do you do that? The 5 elements are the elements of our experience of the world. And we have said earlier that Brahman is hidden by the name and form of the world. So the 5 elements are the name and form, existence, consciousness, bliss. Asti bhati priyam. The existence of a thing, the appearance of the thing in knowledge, and the joy that it sometimes gives us. So, now it says that in these 5 factors, concentrate on those 3. Asti bhati priyam. That's not directly Brahman. It's borrowed from Brahman. One experiment you can do. In fact, let me tell you where I read about it. A student of philosophy was talking to his professor. And the professor explaining something like Vedanta to him. He was saying that, see, what do you see in front of you? Well, the lawn of your house, and beyond that, well, the road, beyond that, the meadows, beyond that, the hills in the distance, beyond that, the sky, and beyond that. And the student says, why me? You see, what happens is when you're emptying your mind, space helps you to empty the mind, you find that everything is experienced in consciousness, in your awareness. So the 5 factors which are introduced here, they help you to focus. If you want to say that Brahman is hidden here, what you are experiencing is Brahman plus name and form. It's like I'm saying the wood is hidden by the table. Then I must point out what is wood here and what is table here. The name and the form are table. The material itself is wood. Similarly, name and form are world, existence, awareness, and joy are Brahman. Not the feelings, that they are borrowed from Brahman. Yes.
I understood that you were discussing at length the distinguishing between Brahman and the world.
And the world, yes.
In what category of things then do you distinguish between the world or the universe and Maya?
The world or the universe is a product of Maya. It is pervaded by Maya. It is Maya itself. No. You see, what they are claiming here is, you say, if I ask you, what are you experiencing? You'll say the world. And the Vedanta says, no, not just the world. You are experiencing the world covering Brahman. The world veiling Brahman. You are experiencing world plus Brahman right now. If you say that, then if we say that, your next question will be, if I am experiencing Brahman plus world, then what in my experience is the world and what in my experience is Brahman? And the answer they gave was, the name and forms which you experience are the world, and that is Maya. And the existence consciousness bliss is Brahman.
So then the world and Maya
Are the same. Maya is the cause, the name and form, which gives us the world. But remember, when we say I am experiencing the world, I am experiencing world plus Brahman, or Brahman plus world. Brahman covered over by the world. Yes.
Maybe I'm having a hard time with the two metaphors, and maybe I'm attaching too much to them. The snake and the rope, the mirage in the desert.
Yes.
I get that is very vivid.
Huh.
And then, but when you use the table and the wood, that seems like both are much more real. The table, I mean, it's a table as much as it was a tree.
Yes. All right. It's a very good question. And I'll just dwell on it for a little while and then stop here. But if you want, you can take it up next class also. It's important to note this. In Vedanta, because language breaks down at the point of expressing the absolute. The language is never meant to express the absolute. Language is meant to deal with the relative world. So because language breaks down, we are forced to rely on several strategies. One of them is using examples, metaphors. Now, when using examples can be very useful to teach something, but they can be very dangerous also. Because the teacher, when he is using the example, knows what he means. But the student may not. If you say that man is like a lion, you mean the man is as brave as a lion or as fierce as a lion or whatever. But the student may understand that the man sort of goes around on all fours and jumps on the unwary people. May understand that. Doesn't know what you mean. In the same way, I just answer that very briefly and end it here. When Vedanta says the snake and the rope is like Brahman, snake is like the world. Now, in the case of snake and the rope, the moment you see the rope, the snake vanishes. This snake has no existence at all, in the beginning, in the middle, or in the end. It's the rope alone which exists. Nothing has happened to the rope to make it a snake. So all these things are understood from the example and correct. They apply to Brahman and the world. In the case of the table, or in what they use, the clay and pot, or here the table and the wood, what confuses us is, it seems that the table is as real as the wood. and you make the shape that wood into a table. So is Brahman somehow shaped into this world? The answer is no. When you talk about table and wood, clay and pot, it took me a long time to understand this. Clay and pot, table and wood, only one thing and one thing alone is being intended here. They are not saying that the clay has been shaped into a pot and so Brahman has been shaped into the world. No. They're not saying the table has been made into a table, the wood has been made into a table by a carpenter, so God has made the world out of something. No. Only one thing is meant here. The entire existence of the table is wood. The only thing here actually is wood. If you examine it, the top is wood, the bottom is wood, the sides are wood, the weight of the table is the weight of the wood. Are they equally real? They are not equally real. Why? Because the wood can exist without the table. It can exist as a tree. It can exist as a broken table. It can exist as wood powder. It's the same wood. Just as water can exist without being a wave. But the wave cannot exist without water. Do you get it? The wave cannot exist without water. And so the wave is not real like the water. Or let me put it this way, the reality of the wave is the reality of the water. In the same way, the reality of this world is Brahman. We will leave it at this and then next take up the techniques, the 6 techniques for assimilating it, to make it a real thing in our lives. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.
Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Pamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurun. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I salute Bhagavan Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the destroyer of the demons, Kamsa and Chanura, the dear darling of Mother Devaki, and the Guru of the entire universe. I salute Bhagavan Sri Krishna again and again. Om peace, peace, peace. So we have finished the reading Srimad Bhagavatam, where in the book number 8, we finished chapter 8, where Shiva asked Narayana to show the divine mystic power, which is called Maya. How is Maya? And then Narayana became Mohini. And then he was so much lost into that. He was overwhelmed, and all these descriptions we have read the other day. Mohini becomes so loving, charming, etc. And that Shiva himself, with the controller of all senses, he lost his own control even. So that beauty and that charming attitude is the Maya Shakti. And we have read in the last part of the chapter 12 that Shiva then said, did you observe the power of Maya, of the birthless one of the Supreme Lord? Talking to Bhavani, who was all the time, they're all together, and in between Mohini appeared, and Shiva was infatuated with that attraction of that charming personality of the Mohini. And she said, did you observe the power of Maya, of the birthless one, the Supreme Lord? I am the master of all arts, Shiva says. I am the master of all arts and free. Yet I was enslaved and infatuated by his Maya. What then will be the condition of ordinary jivas who are bound by their karma. So she was saying that what you understand how difficult for ordinary jivas who are bound by their karmas, they can come out of Maya. If I am the Lord of God of the control, Shiva, and I was overwhelmed. Then we read, Shiva continues, on my coming to normal consciousness after 1,000 years of samadhi, you, Parvati, asked me the question on whom I had been meditating so long. And now that one is the primeval being. That is, the time has no place in him. And Vedic ritualism cannot take one to them, to take one to him. That means the Parvati was answered this way, that this Shiva was absorbed in the timeless reality. That's why 1,000 years passed, but he didn't come out of the samadhi. Anyhow, so this was the last part we read. And the Sukadev then said, I have now finished describing you. The Mahavishnu supported this entire mountain of Mandara. No efforts on one who repeated on of or hears his glory, then this type of story of the greatness of Lord Narayana, naturally he will be released from the vicious cycle of birth and death. I salute the Lord who fulfills the prayers of devotees that take refuge in him. And it is saying, Shukadev says, that I salute the Lord who fulfills the prayers of devotees that take refuge in him, who assuming a false female form, filled the asuras with infatuation, and enabled the devas to consume the ocean-born Amrita, the devas who sought refuge at his feet, which only bhakti can reveal, and which the faithless and the impious men cannot never reach. So it says that only by the grace of Narayana one can get real bhakti, and that real bhakti can reveal the glory of Lord Narayana. Now we start reading the chapter, which is the 8th chapter, a 13th chapter of the book 8. Skanda 8 is called Skanda, or the book 8 and chapter 13. And there is the Shukadev says, hear now from me about the offspring of the present Manu, the son of Vivaswan, or sun, the sun in the sky, famous under the name Shuddhadeva. Anyhow, so here is a description, is now Shukadev describing the last 7 Manu avatars. So I didn't find much to read. It is only the names of who become Manu, whose son, whose daughter, whose this, and then last 7 Manantaras, 9th to 14 Manantaras, and I do not see anything, so I am skipping over the entire chapter, 13th chapter, and 14th chapter. I skipped the entire 13th chapter, because that's the name of whose son become who become whom, and it is difficult to remember the names also, and so Sanskritized them. So I am skipping them. Oh, it was the Devas, Savarni will be the 13th Manu, Chitrasena, Vichitra, and others will be his sons, Sukarma, Sutrama, and others will be Devas, like that. All these different names who have become already and who the Manus will be. Now the question came on the chapter 14, what is called the Manantara? What is Manantara? What is Manu? So Raja asked functions of Manu. So Raja asked on 14th chapter, verse number 1, O Holy One, please tell me, 1, on what works or duties were these Manus commissioned by their Lord during the periods of their supremacy. So they are kings. So what they did that during their period of existence of the Manus. So that is also, he said, Shukadev said, O king, the Manus, the sons of Manus, Saptarishis, Indras, Devas, all function subordinated to the command of the Lord Narayana. So they are all under Narayana. The Manus, the son of the Manus, seven rishis, and Indra and Devas, etc. The function of the Manus and others. What is the function of the Manus? Manantara. But each Manu, what does he function? It says that the function of the Manu, verse number 3, chapter 14, on page 353. The function of the Manus and the others is to maintain the world order and its progress under the direction of divine incarnation like Jagna and others of whom I have spoken to you earlier. At the end of the period of the four Yugas, Chatur Yugas, the seven rishis, Saptarshis, by their austerity, tapas, would rediscover the Vedas, the most of which would have been gradually been swallowed by time by the end of the period. So in the one period of Manu ends, they all are consumed, all knowledge and everything, Vedas all get consumed into time. And when the again end of the period of the four Yugas, the seven sages would rediscover these Vedas. That's why Saptarishis are eternal almost. They remain there to reveal the Vedas again and again. Good that Swami Vivekananda, being one of the Saptarishis who are there forever for the good of the world, rediscovers the Vedas as we get it now. Actually, the Vedic wisdom was lost, as we find now that Swami Vivekananda brought the Vedic wisdom, Boner Vedanta Ghare Ana. He brought it. So he was one of the rishis. How it matches here, Sapta rishis and Bhagavat, verse number 4 of the chapter 14 of book number 8 says that the end of the period of the four yugas, the Sapta rishis by their austerities, tapas, they would rediscover the Vedas, most of which would have been gradually been swallowed by time. In time, people forget that, and then lost totally. Actually, that was the situation of India and the world. People forgot the Vedic wisdom. Now we are hearing about that. It is rediscovered by Swami Vivekananda being born, one of the Saptarishis, as Ramakrishna said. By the revival of the Veda, the eternal dharma would be kept up. So, how it really matches this verse number 4 is very importantly said. Chatur Jugante Kalena Vrasto Achyutiganan Jata Tapasa Rishayo Apasyan Jato Dharma Sanatana. So this Sanatan Dharma, the Vedic religion, the rishis found. Tato Dharma Chatuspadam. O king, the Manus inspired and directed by Mahavishnu and endowed with great powers of self-control, then they would then in that time set dharma in motion on all its 4 feet. So dharma will again regenerated by this. The sons of Manus, they will followed by their descendants, as also by the devas receiving the Jagna offering, and their associates join in this work of maintaining the world order. So Manus and their children, they started reviving the Vedic religion, and the devas then started the Vedic religion. So the Jagna started again offering Jagna, and in the fire of Jagna, the gods and goddesses, they get their share of the food. So world order was reset. Indra, who could be who could be in the enjoyment of the vast resources of all these three worlds, assigned to him by the Lord, would protect these worlds and give them abundance of rain. Then, because of that, Indra, when home of fire is set, so much of clouds will be growing and rain will shower, and then crops will come and people will be abundant with rain, and that will give sustenance to the human. Now Srihari in all these ages would impart spiritual wisdom by assuming the form of enlightened ones. So many enlightened souls will be generated that way, and ritualistic practices will start functioning again, and by assuming the role of masters of them, and the path of yoga by appearing as great master yogis. So Indra will be coming, and with the rain, the resources of our life of the three worlds assigned to him, they would then protect these three worlds and give them abundance of rain, and impart then spirit. There will be enlightened people come up again, and we impart spiritual wisdom. And the masters, assuming the role of masters, path of yoga will again appearing as a great master yogis. So many master yogis and enlightened will be there, appearing by tapas and austerity, and also the homo fire. In the form of Prajeshwara, he, the Lord, create this universe. As Indra, he slew the Dasyus, and as time, bringing all things and beings to an end. Though the Lord is described and praised by various scriptures and philosophies, man with perceptive power of his mind, dulled and destroyed by Maya, is not able to perceive him directly. So though the Lord is praised as way described by various scriptures and philosophies, men will not be able to do anything because of his Maya, destructive Maya. They will not be able to perceive God directly. A Mahakalpa is the full lifespan of Brahma, lasting for 2 parardhas. In that there are divisions of called intermediary kalpas, vikalpa, each of which stands for a day of Brahma. That's what has been said relates to the vikalpas, each of which wise men say has 14 manvantars, periods of supremacy of Manus. So anyhow, I don't anything to understand. So this is the end of the 14th chapter. Now I'm entering into the 15th chapter. Now, Boli, this chapter 15, book 8, verse number 1, on page 354. Boli invades Indra's heaven. Now, as always happens, the Deva and Asura fight. The Boli is the Lord God of the Asuras. Raja Parikshit asked, why did Srihari, the Lord of all, ask Mahabali for 3 feet of earth like a miserable beggar? There is a story that Bali was a pride that he is a very, he gives away everything. Anyone asks anything from him. So he will be able to, no one, anyone ask him anything, he will give away. So he has this charity, great charity, power of charity. So the Lord Hori, it is said that to destroy his ego or pride of a great charitable person, appeared as a Brahmana, and as a dwarf man. And he asked, can you, and then Boli said, what do you want? Then he said, oh, I don't want anything. I only want 3 steps of land. My 3 steps, a land of 3 steps. He said, what 3 steps? You can take long steps. You see, my whole world is up to me. I give you 3 steps. So then suddenly the dwarf man become in his divine form Narayana. So he had 3 legs. So one leg, he said, I shall put where? He said, put, and one leg covered the entire earth. And second leg, where to put earth and heaven and everything is covered by one leg. Then another leg on his head. And third leg is probably heaven. Earth, heaven, and head of the dwarf man who is actually in guise Narayana came. So the Raja is asking, why did Sri Hari the Narayana, who is the Lord of all, ask Mahabali for 3 feet of earth like a miserable beggar? And why, after getting what he wanted, did the Lord bind him with a cords as a prisoner? I desire to know how the one who is self-fulfilled and without any want, who is the recipient of all sacrifice, could take a begging, and also how he could put fetters on an innocent person like Boli. So Boli is a good guy, at least he is a charitable person. So why God came to him like a beggar? And God himself is the whole world belongs to him. So why is begging like a beggar? One point. Why after getting even what he wanted, why the Lord bind Bali with a cord like a prisoner? And third, to know how in one who is self-fulfilled, does not have any want, who is the recipient of all sacrifices the whole world offers, could take to begging, and also how he could put fetters in an innocent person like Boli. So it is very unjust, it appears. Please give me some understanding. This is the verse number 1 and 2. So, Boli Padatrang Bhume, 3 steps of Bhumi, earth, Kasmad Duriya Mukh Bhuteswaraha Kripana Vallava Arthopi Bhavandhatam. How he bind him. He not only got the entire 3 worlds and also his head. And why this thing happened to Bali? Now, the verse number 3, O King Mahabali was killed and deprived of all his prosperous realm by Indra, was revived by his teacher. His teacher's name was Bhrigus, including Shukra. Mahabali was killed in and deprived of all his prosperous realm, was killed by Indra, and was revived by his teacher Bhrigus. In return, Boli served those teachers with great sincerity and liberty. The Bhrigus, the clan of eminent Brahmanas, whose leader was Shukra, were very much pleased with Bali because of this service, who was desirous of conquering the heavenly region. These great rishis administered to him the consecratory bath and made him perform the jagna known as Vishwajit Jagna, in which one must give away all one's possessions. So the thing comes like that, the story, the king Mahabali, O King Mahabali, who was killed and deprived of all his prosperous realm by Indra, was revived by his teacher Bhrigu and Sukracharya. So when Mahabali was given back to his life by Bhrigu's, his teacher, whose name was Bhrigu's, and his teacher, Mani Guru, was Sukra also. As a result, Boli was very grateful to Bhrigu's and Sukra's and served these two teachers with great sincerity and liberality. And worshipped them, respected them, and served them. The Bhrigus, the clan of eminent Brahmanas, whose head was headed by Shukra, were very much pleased with Boli. So Boli that did so much service to Bhrigus and Sukras that they were very pleased with Boli. Boli was desirous of conquering the heavenly region. These great rishis administered to him means to Boli, the consecrated bath and made him perform a jagna. So said, "Oh Bali, you perform this jagna." And what is the name of the jagna? It is called Vishwajit Jagna. One of the name of that special jagna, it is called Vishwajit Jagna, in which one must give away all one's possession. That was the condition. That if you perform that jagna, then you will have to give away whoever comes as a charity at the end of the jagna. Out of the sacrificial fire came out a divine chariot, inlaid with gold and yoked to horses, which vied with Indra's steeds in color and having a flag with the emblem of a lion. So one chariot appeared out of the jagna. 6 verse. Also came out a never exhaustible quiver and an armor of heavenly workmanship. Boli was presented with an unfading garlanding of flowers by his grandfather Prahlada and a conch by the Rishi Shukra. So, at the end of the jagna, the chariot came, and that was yoked with a horses and vied with Indra's steed in color and having a flag with the emblem of lion, and also came out a never exhaustible quiver. That means weapon, endless weapon in a quiver. That means he can fight forever. No one, he will never be lacking any weapon. And an armor, which is for protection of heavenly workmanship. And Boli was presented with an unfading garland, as giving a garland which color will not fade, and made of some flowers. Who gave it? By his grandfather. Boli's father's father is Prahlada. By Prahlada, and a conch shell was given by the Rishi Shukra Rishi, Shukradev. So after performing that Vishwajita Jagna, all these gifts came for Mahabali. Being thus equipped with armaments, with the help of these rishis, Boli circumambulated them and made obeisance to them and also to Prahlada, and then took his leave. So now Boli was trying to control the whole heavenly world. So now he got, by doing that, performing that jagna, They got all this special chariot, the quiver full of weapons, and all these special powerful things. Now, verse number 7, chapter 15, page 355. Being thus equipped with all armaments, with the help of these rishis, the rishis were gracious, and the rishis gave these blessings. So, equipped with that, all armaments, with the help of these rishis, Bali was very respectful. They circumambulated the circumambulated Bhrigu and Shukra. Bhrigu and Shukra circumambulated them, and also they made obeisance to them also, and also to Prahlada, who appeared from the Jagna and offered him the armors, etc. He 8 and 9. He now shone like an Ahvani Agni, like a Vedic sacrificial fire of the household. As he seated himself in his chariot given by the Rishi Shukra of Bhrigu's line, with all equipment like bow, quiver, sword, armor, and with his personal decorations like garlands, shining armlets of gold and sparkling earrings, etc. So they got all, Bali got all these things from the performing that yajna. Bali, bent on the conquest of the most splendorous heavenly region of Indra, now he entered into the Indra's kingdom, led his big Asura army, whose march caused tremors on the earth and in the intermediary regions. So all the Asuras, Bali led them and wanted to rule the three worlds, as it were, earth, heaven, and the intermediary regions. That army was full of Asuras chiefs who were equal to him in wealth and power, and who were so heroic that they seemed ready to drink up the sky with their mouths and to burn the quarters with their looks. So they are all powerful army supporting Bali, and Bali, bent on conquest of the most splendorous heavenly region of Indra, led his all Asura army to march. And that march was so violent that it created tremor on the earth and intermediary regions. That army was full of Asuras. They are all Asuras and Asura chiefs, powerful leaders of the Asuras, who are equal to him, equal to him in almost equally powerful like Bali, invincible in wealth and power. They have their wealth and their strength, and who are as heroic. They seem ready to drink, as if they are so powerful, as if they can eat or they can swallow the sky in their mouth, drink up the sky and their mouths, with their mouths, and to burn the quarters with their look. So they are so powerful and demonic. Now the heaven, description of heaven. Now Indra was in the heaven. The heaven of Indra was so full of attractive features that it made the very deity of splendor lusterless. That means it was so beautiful, Indra's kingdom, attractive features, that it made the very deity splendor lusterless. The deity itself becomes, as if the deity means Indra. Indra is, in comparison to his attractive features in the kingdom, is full of luster. It had famous gardens and parks like Nandana, great centers of natural beauty. The Nandanvan we hear about in the heaven, it is Indra's garden, uh, garden and park. Indra's garden and park, beautiful, famous garden and park like Nandana, which is the great source of natural beauty, where were celestial trees whose branches bend under the weight of tender leaves. When a tree full of leaves and branches, flowers and fruits, bend in the leaves, flowers and fruits. The tree is beautiful tree and which harbored numerous birds warbling with their consorts and humming bees inebriated with honey. So this is a description of Indra's celestial garden. And it has lotus lakes abounding in many kinds of water. And there is water birds like swan, crane, chakravakas, various types of uh, karanada, karanadavas, karanadavas, and providing facility for water sports for hilarious celestial women attended by their male companions. So there is a beautiful garden, mainly to say Nandana garden. Garden is beautiful, lakes are beautiful, and all are bright, brilliant, trees are full of flowers, fruits, etc. And that city was built by Vishwakarma. That city was built by Vishwakarma and was surrounded like a moat by holy Ganga of heaven. And it is moated by holy Ganga and by high walls resplendent like fire and having on their tops battlements for use in time of war. It had doors, that means it is covered, it is a very selected, it is a very protected area, so that's why he said that high walls are all around and the Ganga water is going on as it, so it is all circumambulate, the city is surrounded by water, so no one can attack. I think that is the idea. And the wall will protect. And it had doors. It had doors. This Indra's kingdom has the entrance point, doors with shutters of plated gold. They are all made of gold, towers of crystals, and highways well laid with proper alignment, road are perfect, and door is, even the door, main entrance door is plated with gold and towers full of crystals and all abounding valuable things as Vishwakarma as planned by the celestial architect Vishwakarma. So celestial architect Vishwakarma created this special place of Indra, the kingdom of Indra. Now, as we heard, that Bali is now marching towards Indra's kingdom with all his military forces. 16 verse. It had many assembly halls because it is a description, beautiful description. Indra's heaven is there. Indra lives in that. His abode is such like our president's quarters or something like that. It had many assembly halls, courtiers, subsidiary roads, and its several crossroads were lined by high mansions with balconies and sit-outs made of coral and studded with diamonds. Baba, a rich city condition. It's full of wealth, prosperity, and see, roads are so beautiful and high mansions on the roadside. Their balconies are protruded, and there is a place for sit out, and those are made of coral and studded with the diamonds. resplendent like rays of fire. So it is so beautiful, it is resplendent with fire, rays of light, as it were. And girls with perpetual youth and beauty. So naturally, everything is for all youthful, all bright, all beautiful, all place of enjoyment. And dressed in spotless garment, or the women were spotless, we using spotless garments. They are moving all around everywhere. The wind deity, the god, lord of wind, about wind, wind deity is ever present to welcome visitors. That means cool breeze welcomes the visitors, as it were, with a gentle breeze, rendered fragrant with a sweet smell of fresh Sugandhika flowers, a special flower which is very fragrant flower, Sugandhika, Sugandha, fresh Sugandhika flowers, and the air is very pleasing air, wind deity, ever present, welcome visitors as it were with gentle breeze. That means no hot to sun to enjoy. It is like a beautiful breeze flows there. The flowers are smell like that of Sugandhika, Sugandha, fallen flowers fallen from the braids of celestial women. So they from their hair they put the flowers, and that is falling down, they creating the wind, the breeze, and also the flowers, fragrant flowers. Through the gold inlaid windows of the mansions, through which celestial women were seen to pass up and down, came out thick and grey clouds of smoke from burning frankincense spreading on to the roads. From the windows, the ladies, celestial women, they can be seen to pass up and down. They're going in their room maybe and coming out, and you can see that the windows, through the windows, thick and grey clouds of smoke is coming. But that smoke is what? Burning the frankincense. Beautiful, fragrant, what we call the dhoop, spreading on to the roads, and they're throwing into the road, so the road becomes very fragrant. Everywhere there are decorations of pearl strings, flagstaffs inlaid with gold and studded with precious stones, many banners of variegated colors and sea sizes, and balconies are all decorated with bunting. The atmosphere was filled with the sound of peacocks, doves, humming bees. They mingled with the sweet and auspicious music of the celestial women. They so occupying the mansions of the city. So everything is singing, dancing, wealth, prosperity, flowers, fruits, etc. Everywhere, and beautiful women, and their moving celestial women occupying their mansions in the city. Every other attraction was overpowered by the sonorous heavenly music, and every other attraction was there, but they're overpowered by sonorous heavenly music, in which was combined the booming sounds of various instruments like mridanga, conch, drums, and timekeeping cymbals, with the sweet strains of Bina, Muraja, Rishti, flute, and with the songs of the demigods accompanying dances of heavenly dancers. So, what can be described? This is a description of the place of Indra. The realm is never attained by persons. This realm, this Indra's region, the Indra's place, is never attained by persons who are violators of the moral law, evildoers, oppressors of others, and persons who are cruel, conceited, licentious, or greedy. That means this Indra's special heavenly abode is unique, and only there good people, those who have done good job. What are the people? Never attended by, it was never, then violators of the moral law. They cannot enter there. Evildoers or oppressors of others or persons who are cruel, conceited, and licentious or greedy. That means this heaven of Indra's place is meant for that people who are good, well behaved, and gentle and mannered, not for the violators of the moral law, those who are doing evil actions, those who oppresses others, persons who are cruel or conceited or licentious or greedy, they have no entrance here, never been visited by that. That is the protected area of Indra. Now, Mahabali, now as we heard, Mahabali with his army was moving, and he was the commander of the Asura forces, now besieged the city of Indra with his army. Now, so he is all powerful now. So getting the power from the Saptarishis and others, as we just heard, Bali then entered into the kingdom of Indra. So Mahabali, the commander of the Asura forces, now besieged the city of Indra with his army. Mahabali besieged the city of Indra with his army. He blew his mighty conch, which is presented to him by Acharya, the teacher. Acharya gave him some, so he first blew his mighty conch, generating fear in the minds of the women of the heavenly realm. So all these heavenly realm people, ladies were in a very peaceful mood, and Mahabali went there and blew his conch shell, and that generated fear in the minds of the women. Seeing all these military preparations of Mahabali, Indra with all the devas approached their teachers. So Indra and his other gods who were there, what to do? Suddenly Mahabali has entered Bali in the kingdom of Indra. So the Indra and others then prayed to the Lord God. Oh, honored sir, our old enemy Mahabali is making now another effort to conquer us. It is impossible for me to bear with his conduct. How has he become powerful again? So that is, he's praying to the Lord God. Indra and his other gods are praying to Narayana. Oh, honored sir, here is our old enemy, Mahabali again has entered here. Mahabali is now making an effort, another effort, to conquer us again from the heaven. It is impossible for me to bear with his conduct. How has he become so powerful? So that was the question. He was praying to the Narayana. No one will now be powerful enough to meet him in battle. It looks as if he is going to swallow the whole world, lick up the regions, and burn up everything by his look. He is fierce as fire that comes out of the mouth of Sankarsana at the time of cosmic deluge. So the warrior, big warrior, this Ashura, Bali, is now coming here, and he is swallowing us. and again making an attempt to conquer the heaven and trying to throw us out. Please tell me, O Lord, how our enemy has acquired this irresistible might. Where did they get it? This power. How did he get this power of body and mind and the courage that have emboldened him to attack us? So, what has happened? Why did it happen? Please tell us. The teacher said, "O Indra, I know that the cause of enhancement of these powers of your enemy is that the Bhrigus, his teacher Shukra, and his disciples, who are great experts in the Vedic lore, have imparted their own Brahminic power to them. So they have become powerful because, Shukra, the teacher of the demons, and his disciples, and the great experts of Vedic lore, Brahmins, they have imparted this power, Brahminic power. It is the Brahminic power of them imparted to Bali, and Bali has become now invincible. Neither you nor other celestials like you can stand before him now. Because as a man cannot stand before Jama, the deity of death, so you cannot stand before. He has become so powerful by the power of the Brahminic power. Only Srihari can face him. So it is not for you. Sorry, I said that they are asking to Narayana. No, it is not Narayana. It is Narayana. No, it is not Narayana. He is asking to the teacher of the Devas are Shukra, the demon, the guru of the teacher of the gurus, Asuras, and who is the guru? Who is the guru of Suras, Devatas? Brihaspati. So he is asking Brihaspati how it happened, who empowered them, and what it is happening. So Brihaspati said, you cannot do anything. It has been come by the Brahminic power, and it is Hari, Lord Hari can only face him. Therefore, you all abandon the heavenly region now and go into the hiding until the time turns against the enemy and tends to his downfall. So now he said, so Brihaspati told that you cannot do anything. Only Lord God Narayana, he can face this situation. Therefore, you all give up. All the heavenly region now, run away and go into the hiding place. And you hide yourself until proper time will turn against the enemy and tends to his downfall. So you cannot fight with Bali. He is so much powerful. So you go, run away from your place and hide your identity in some other place until wait for the proper time, when until Bali downfall comes. Now, 31 verse. Now, because of the powers of holy men behind him, he has benefited immensely, and his power is at its zenith now. So it is not your power, you can do anything. In course of time, disrespect shown to these men will in itself be the cause of his downfall as well as of all his followers. So his guru, Brihaspati, said that, don't worry about anything, just go and hide yourself, and till the karma, good karma of Bali exhausts. And he got this power by Brahminic power, and now he has become powerful at his zenith, in the highest point. And in course of time, his mind will be disrespectful. Disrespect shown to these men will be